This is part 3 of how to make a panel by hand. I'm going to make a left rocker panel for the 2007 Pontiac Montana. Very important, never cut off the original panel till you've made the new one to replace it. First thing we want to do is make a sample piece. We get a strip of metal and we'll go out and we'll match it right up to all the curves and angles of the rocker panel. That's going to help a lot when we form our 7-foot piece. I start out with a 6-inch wide 3-foot I-beam. That's my favorite length. And then I get a bunch of steel that is also various thicknesses of 3 feet as well, and other sizes shorter, so I can fabricate most of the bends I want by hand. The I-beam is 6-inch wide, so I take my trusty ruler, hold it here on the edge, and I know exactly where I'm going to bend that down. We're going to do that on every line as we move along, because you can't measure from underneath. We're going to start this with a flat-faced dinging hammer, and we're going to start on the outside edge. We're not going to hit the line because we don't want it to be sharp. It has to be rounded. Done that, we're going to move it down 1/8. Don't worry about the buckles, we'll get them later. We'll roll it over and we'll do it when we have to. Make sure it's right first overall. One of my favorite hammers is an East Wing dead weight rubber hammer. Now we're going to hit this edge at a 45 degree and overlapping about 50% until we have a nice round edge all the way along. As you can see, it's rounded out nicely. There's the initial bends. Now we're going to bend this line here down a little bit, the blue line down a little bit, and the next one will be sharp to give us the angle. Next, I have to chase this down with the mallet on that edge. I've done half, now I got to do the other half, and that'll give me the right angle. Now we've got the curves shaped out, they're looking good. It matches up to our pattern. Now we need to put the 1/8 inch step that we need here. It's going to be high on this side and down 1/8 to that side. Now we're going to use a 1/4 inch plate and a 1/8 to help us make that step. Now I'm going to measure from this plate here, that's our 1/4 inch plate, up to the first line. So that's 1 7/16. So I'll clamp it on this end, I'll do the same on the other. I'm going to use this old chisel here, it's an antique chisel, nice bevel, it's dull on the end so it's not going to cut through. And we're going to go along this line here like that, and we're going to hammer it with this heavy hammer. And we're going to draw it down that 1/8 inch, stretch it out. On top of that, I have another tool I really like. I use it for a lot of stuff. I take an old air chisel, I take the points off it, and I round that out on the edges too. And it makes a good tool to chase that line all the way through down on the edge. As you hammer this edge, it's going to start to roll upward, which is fine. You're just going to take a rubber mallet here and go over it. Then we're going to hammer out any little vice grip dents along the panel on top of the I-beam. I don't put plates to hold them because otherwise they tend to slide when I'm hammering. Causes more trouble than it saves. This is the front of the rocker. The fender comes over top of here, so we're going to step that down 1/8. Sort of like we did on the bottom of the rocker up here. Same plan. This is going to be bent up. That's going to be bent up. We're going to cut. These have to be bent down. So we're going to cut like a wheel lip on your 1/4. We're going to cut where the major curves are so we can bend them down and hammer and dolly them. And they'll come out pretty tight when you're all done with the curves. We're going to bend the lips here up using a pair of vice grips, overlapping. Then we're hammer and dolly it. And here we'll do the same thing but down. Here we are all done on that section. We'll weld these up later when we're sure it fits the van. Here we are, the finished product. Part 4 is to fabricate the fender sections for the 2007 Montana van.